Photographers don't matter anymore in 2025. I can go to any app these days and have it generate the exact image I want. We don't need them anymore, is what someone would say who doesn't know what the they're talking about. Welcome to Photo Club. This is a space where us photographers can hang out, geek out, and share our creative thoughts discussing film photography versus digital photography, or AI in our digital age, or any other skill set that could level us up as photographers or creatives as a whole. I want this club to feel like a community, so if you're new, welcome. Please stick around, grab a camera, a coffee, or for non-coffee drinkers like me, a nice chai, and let's dive into this one. As 2025 has just now rolled around, I kind of wanted to discuss my thoughts as a photographer and videographer, and also a photography student at NYU, about where I think the photography space is going and how it's changing going into 2025. I'm trying to get into a field that a lot of people don't think will exist further down the line, so I have some thoughts on this. There has been this crazy resurgence of film this past couple of years. We've gotten to the point where literally any digital camera, no matter the price, can look incredible, look almost the same quality as between a $3,000 camera and a $1,000 camera. Like, sometimes there's no difference. You can't tell the difference sometimes. At this point, digital cameras can literally do anything. Like, on this camera I do all my photos and videos, and I'm barely even scraping what it's capable of. And sometimes it feels like it's too easy, like it's too good for what you're doing. And that's kind of where the beauty of film comes in, because it's not perfect, it's flawed. It's a process though. You get 36 shots usually if you're shooting 35mm, and you really have to hone in on those shots and think about each shot, and you crank the lever and you press the shutter and you figure out the settings, and it's all so manual and slow. And that's kind of the beauty of it. People year after year have been gravitating back towards that because of that. It's kind of a step back from this digital revolution that we've been having, and I don't see that stopping this year either. So like what I did this past year, I almost completely moved to shooting film for fun, because it's just a whole nother process that makes you appreciate each image even more. And each image means more financially, but also just personally, because you spend so much time on it compared to a digital photo. I've kind of gone down the rabbit hole this year with my film photography, starting out with a Canon AE1 that was awesome because it was my grandpa's. He originally used it, and then gave it to my mom, who used it, and now I'm using it. And then I was like, oh, I love this and I want more of this. So I got a rangefinder, I got my Voigtlander Bessa R, which I've been using, and I love that thing to death. And then I'm like, oh, so I shot medium format film, and I was like, oh my god, this is insane. So I got a medium format film camera right here, which I've had some issues with, so making a video about that, but hopefully getting it figured out soon. But the bottom line is, it's so addictive shooting film. You really feel like you're one with the camera and one with the image and one with whatever subject you're taking. That's something I find more difficult to feel shooting digitally. With film comes expenses, and that is the one downside. It is expensive, and it's getting even more and more expensive. I constantly am buying film, and it feels like every day the price gets jacked up. Now you can buy 5 rolls of Portra 400 for literally like $75, which is insane. So that adds up, and then you develop that skin and everything, and you're already in $150 at the end of those 5 rolls, probably more actually. So shooting film is becoming less and less attainable because of the prices, but also more because of how many people are doing it and how much access we have to these cameras. We kind of have to find an in-between to that. But I think just as a whole, film photography, though it seemed like it died a while ago, it's come back stronger than ever, and it's gonna continue to stay, especially as we get even more and more modernized and digitized with all our technology, because it's kind of the one thing that's keeping us grounded in this art form of photography. AI is another thing too. I mean, it feels like only yesterday where all these AI things were introduced, and now, literally within the past couple of years, everything has AI. Every single app that's not creative related, everything has some sort of AI built in. To me, it's both good and bad. Now there's generative fill on Photoshop, which works pretty amazingly sometimes. There's these quick selection tools that can select the subject in Lightroom and it'll detect a person and you can select just their skin or their eyes or their lips or their whatever, and it's really amazing. The level of customizability you have and control over each and every image has skyrocketed these past couple years because of AI. I use some of these subject selections and things like that in my workflow all the time, and it's amazing and it helps out a ton. But then there's also these platforms that you're generating the entire image yourself, or you're completely altering it with AI, kind of taking away from the art form in a sense. And yes, there's an art form to, I guess, adding the AI to it, but also there's a whole piece about keeping the purity of photography, which I think you're losing out on when you're using AI. The way Photoshop and Lightroom have implemented AI, I think, is fantastic because it helps aid the creative without jeopardizing the art. But also with all these other apps, there's completely, like, there's whole apps that are just for AI, just to create AI imagery and completely alter your images. And that's where I kind of see the issues arising, you know. I know there's a lot of worry, and I've talked to a lot of people about this at going into school for photography this year as a freshman at NYU, and people are like, AI is gonna take your job. You're kind of going into a career that is not even going to be there in the next couple of years because of AI. And personally, I don't think photography is ever going to go away. I think there's always going to be a need for this, because with humans taking photos, you get a completely unique perspective from each and every person on the planet who's taking a photo. And with AI, you don't get that. It can be slightly biased, but as a whole, it is based off of what someone else input into there. So you don't get that purity and that personal feel to the AI work that you do with physical human beings. And then there's this whole other level that, you know, photography is an art form. It can be a media used to make money, but also to create art, and do both sometimes. That aspect of creating art with photography is something that I don't think will ever leave, you know. A lot of people were worried when photography first came out that painting is pointless, you know. They originally created paintings to be realistic, and it was the best way to capture realism. And then photography came along and did that perfectly. And then there was this whole distress with painters, like, what are we gonna do now? Is painting gone? But no, painting is as popular as it has ever been. It stood the test of time. And I think it's gonna be the same with photography as AI kind of approaches and comes into the space. There's always gonna be a need for someone to capture something and have that unique human eye to it. So I'm not worried about going into the photography or video career out of college. I think AI is gonna be incredibly prominent in that workflow, but I don't think it's gonna take away the job from me and from other creators now. There is now this urgent need to be able to do both photo and video to succeed in this field. Video is all about getting your face out there and marketing yourself, because video is now kind of crucial to being able to get impressions and get in front of people's faces on social media, which is kind of how you market yourself, you know? So even though you may hate to do video, you have to be able to do it. This has been apparent for a long time, but I think it's especially crucial this year in 2025. So if you haven't already learned how to shoot video on top of doing your photography and want to succeed and be able to make a living, I think it's extremely crucial. And so that's kind of what I'm doing here. You know, I've been lucky to have done video for even longer than photography, so it's kind of my joint passion with photography. So I'm super lucky about that. But you know, making these YouTube videos are a way for me to share my creativity, but also, you know, get my face out there in the community. Also, another pro to being able to do video too is I think it's a lot easier to get clients with them knowing that you can do both. You kind of have an edge on other people where you can offer both photo or video work or both at the same time, so you could charge more, or you have just double the opportunities for gigs because you have these two separate things that you could do. So for instance, for some clients I've done just video, but others I've done just photos. And then some, like Highwire that I'm working with now, which I'm making a whole separate video on, I'm doing both photo and video, so it's fantastic to be able to do both and get that chance. So if you haven't started that, or started one or the other of them, this is the year to really hone in on your skills and watch YouTube videos about how to make videos and hone in on that practice, because it's really gonna pay off. I know there are so many other topics that we could talk about with photography kind of leading into 2025 and how everything's gonna be changing throughout the next couple of years, but I think these kind of are the big ones for me. Shooting film and more people shooting film, AI and the prominence of AI, and kind of the need for being a hybrid creator and just being more multifaceted. I'm happy to talk about any other topic you want me to talk about in Photo Club in the next various episodes. So if you have any other questions or discussions or literally anything you want me to talk about that's photography, videography, creativity related, art related, leave the question in the comments or DM me and let me know, because I want this club to feel like a community, as I said, and I want it to kind of feel more personal, like we're having a discussion. So I hope you liked this one. There'll be more coming out soon. I kind of want this to be raw and unfiltered in a way, so I hope it felt like that a little bit, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.